Hi guys, welcome back to the GoonerPod. Here with Adam, myself, Paul. We are back again. Sorry it's been so long since the last one. We've both had plenty on our plates, but we are learning to go. Looking forward to getting stuck in. Little sort of mini review of the season so far. We've now got a World Cup break coming up. 6 weeks of no Arsenal. Let's dive right into it. Ad, I want to start quickly with a quick review of the season and how you think it's gone so far. Probably guess what your answer is going to be. If you want to just give us a quick description of how it's gone, how you're feeling, what you're expecting after the World Cup break, and what you think we can achieve this season.
Yeah, so season's been exceptional. I think when we've done our first the first few pods, I don't think any of us expected anything when we gave our reviews. We said 4 and above, top 3 would be achievable, but to be sitting top of the table, 5 points clear of Man City. I think we've played 5 of the top 6, I believe, and we've only lost one. Obviously, Manchester United, we've only lost one game out of 14. It's just an incredible start to the season. A little bit, not upset, but a little bit frustrated. Obviously, we've got the World Cup right in the middle of it, because obviously you don't know how you're going to pick up afterwards. But to be top at Christmas, to be potentially, top at, well, hopefully we probably should be top at New Year. It's beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. If somebody had said we'd be 5 points clear, only lost one game in the league, finishing top of the Europa League group as well, I'd say you're having a laugh. But I think we've been exceptional. I'm really glad to see that we're playing such great football. I'm glad that Arteta's got his team, got his way of playing, that the boys are playing for him. If you saw the game against Wolves afterwards, he was embracing them. He's that unity is there, and I think that's what's driving the team at the moment. But so far, the season's just been incredible. It's the Premier League, isn't it? Everybody's beating everybody, and we're just exceeding all expectations at the moment, and people are starting to notice. I couldn't be happier with what we're doing.
Do you think we receive enough praise?
No, and I don't think we ever will. And I think that's because there's this perception similar to Liverpool when they actually did challenge for the title, did actually win the title, because for so long they said, "Oh, it's our year. We're going to do it," and then they always seem to slip up right at the last minute. That when it actually was happening, people, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. But I don't think we'll ever get the praise we deserve. I think even if we went on to win the league, they'll say, well, Man City weren't at it, or Man City weren't good enough, or this team or that team. So I don't think we ever will, unfortunately. But that's what drives us, isn't it? That's what's going to drive the team.
So I draw a lot of comparisons with our season with Liverpool's title-winning season. And I believe the year that Liverpool won the league, they signed Alisson in the summer and Van Dijk 6 months before, I think, so he had his bedding in period with the team. They probably signed 1 or 2 more as well, but they were the 2 marquee signings that really propelled them to the title. The season before, they just scraped top 4 and then went and won the league the year after, and then have been at that level ever since.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why Arsenal don't have those props from the media, why no one believes that we can do the same as they have, even though we're showing it. And like you say, we've already played 4 of the top 5, or the other big 5, I should say. Only been beaten by Manchester United unfairly as well. I think when you look at some of the decisions in VAR recently, why on earth Martinelli's goal was disallowed that day, it still blows my mind. And I think we wipe the floor with them if that stands and we go 1-0 up. So we can consider ourselves unlucky to have even lost 1 game this year in the league. I think we can do it.
That sets I was going to say that sets that sets the bar, the standard, because for us to be disappointed to have lost 1 game, but I think we played ridiculously well against United, and we were unlucky to lose that game. But we've said it as fans for years that if they turn up and they play and they lose, it doesn't matter as long as they actually show pride for the shirt and actually give it a go. And they were the best team on the pitch. Sometimes that's the way that football is, and the best team doesn't win. But we've and again, we've played worse and we've won games, and that's just football. But people will look at the stats and be like, oh, you lost to United. But if we lose one game every 14, that's what I'd take. It is what it is. I don't care who, but as long as it's not Spurs, but I don't care, which team it is. If we're doing that, if we're doing 14-1 ratio, that's a champions team there for me. So yeah.
Someone said to me in a pub a couple of weeks ago during the Spurs Liverpool game that Arsenal have got to beat City to win the league, and my response was, no, City have got to beat Arsenal to win the league. Well, and at the time, we was only 2 points clear of them. Now they've got to beat us twice.
Yeah, and we've got to play them twice as well.
Which is just an amazing thing to say. You think the jump up we've made this season. Yeah, it's fantastic to be in the position we are. Obviously, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But what's the point in football if you can't enjoy it whilst you're at the top?
That's it.
And
that's it.
And it's good fun. And I don't go into any games at the moment thinking, we could lose today, or I wonder what Arsenal's going to turn up. We didn't play that well against Wolves, but I expected us to get the job done, and that's what winning the titles are about. You have to just get the job done. You can't always be an amazing, pretty footballing side. And City are known as that, and they're not getting the job done.
Yeah.
So,
that's what all the top teams, that's what all the champions do. Liverpool haven't always rolled teams over. They've had to grind out results, and that's what it's about. And I think if you look at last season, bottom of the table after three games, we then went on that ridiculous run where we changed it around. It dipped again towards the end of the season, but I think that was due to squad depth. That was due to players being out, not necessarily, the team and how they play. But you can see that as well. Like when we lose one player, it does change the dynamic a little bit. But that starting 11 that he puts out can get the job done. And I'd fancy us against anybody on on our form. With all due respect to Man City, with what they've done, they are for me in the last decade, they are the best team in England, and to be anywhere near them, to be above them, we deserve a lot more credit for what we're doing at the moment, because they're also having their, Spurs are having their best season, we're having our best season. City also, they don't look as great watching them as they can, but they're still a top team. So where we are, we deserve a lot more credit for it, because actually, I think we're making them look worse than they actually are at the moment. Personally, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a decent start to the season as well. We've just been better. That's all you can say, isn't it? And it's about time people started admitting that.
Yeah.
Right, if we move on, just need a brief answer. I kind of know what I've got an inkling of what you're going to say to this, but I'm intrigued anyway. And anyone listening would be sort of obviously interested in what you've got to say. Who's your player of the season?
My player of the season, Xhaka.
I knew you were going to say that.
Everybody that's followed the account, that's followed me on the platforms, will know that I haven't been Xhaka's biggest fan. But he's scored us winning goals. He's just him in the team. It's like he's the final piece of that puzzle, and he's the last person. He's the last player that I would have expected to be so vital to the team. But actually, you take him out, or he's not there. But it's in that forward position where he can go forward. He's linking up on the left. He's creating things. He's scoring. I think he scored more goals this season than he has in the last 3, I believe, already.
Yeah,
or something like that. I might be a little bit off, but it's something like that. So for me to come back from where he was with the fans to where he is now with the fans, it's incredible, and he deserves all the praise and he deserves all the love, because when you actually look at it, he loves the club. He loves the club,
Yep.
and regardless of what he's done before, he stayed loyal, which is all we've wanted as fans. And he's turned it around, and he is a very, very good footballer, and I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, I am as well, and I'm the same as you. He's not my player of the season, but I never expected to see this from Xhaka, so I'm over the moon. It's answered a lot of questions. No longer there's an extensive search for a centre midfielder because we now have one. It's just about who comes into the team, and I think we'll get onto the January transfer window in a bit. But yeah, for me now, he's almost impossible to upgrade on at the moment, which is full credit to him. I'm going with Jesus for mine. I think, although he hasn't scored in 10 games or whatever, he has got 7 assists in those 10 games or something silly like that. His contribution to our team is unrivaled. He's just an absolute joy to watch. But his touch, his strength, he's bringing other people into play. He occupies 2 defenders at a time, which gives others space. It's been unreal. Last year, I thought we really struggled to score goals, and this year, although he's not the one actually putting it in the net too often, we're scoring more as a team because of him, and he has made us take that step up. Saliba was a close second because I'm a firm believer that you build from the back, and he's added some security along with Gabriel, and they seem to take it in turns to who's going to make a mistake each week. But the pair of them, have performed such a solid partnership. And Saliba has come in, and although I was a big fan of Ben White last year, I don't think he was the top level centre half that we needed, and Saliba is a step above him. And it's just been fortunate that Ben White can be shifted out to right back and perform admirably as well, and keep Tommy Asher out of the team. And defence is an area of the team where I think if we'd had this chat 2 years ago, we'd have been pulling our hair out at this stage of the season over the defenders and who's made what mistake and who's made what cock up and how weak and naive they are. So actually, they're the best defence in the league. They concede the least goal scoring opportunities. They concede the least shots. Ramsdale's the least busiest goalkeeper. I could count on 2 hands how many games he's played this year where he's not really had to do anything. Chelsea being one of them, he didn't need to bring his gloves to Stamford Bridge, apart from to keep his fingers warm.
That's true.
So Saliba is it's hard to choose between Saliba and Jesus, but just going with Jesus just because we look so much better going forward this year. And he's been a breath of fresh air to our attack. As centre forward, we've needed for ages, absolutely ages. Despite
he suits us very well.
He is. He's a bit of he's an all-rounder. He might not get 25 goals this year, but he might get 15 goals and 15 assists, which is as good as 30, isn't it? So
So with that, he won't score 25, but the team will because of him. It doesn't matter who's for me. It doesn't matter who's actually putting the ball in the net, as long as the ball's going in the net, and we're winning the games if it's him or if it's somebody else. But I think he's been very unlucky. But he's an absolute handful. And I love him. It's obviously his first season. I want to see what other levels he can reach. But he's brilliant. He's so humble as well.
And the thing is, he looks like he's playing out of his skin, and he is. And he's got that in his locker to play like that for 90 minutes every week, which is great as well. Lacazette would be blowing out his arse after 30 minutes, but that's because he was constantly playing holding midfield. Yeah. And tracking back ridiculously deep. And it just didn't work, did it? It's so much of an upgrade on Lacazette without digging him out too much. It's not what I'm getting at. Yeah. So much an upgrade. But when the goals come for Jesus as well, we can just imagine what sort of a player we're going to have in our hands. It's exciting to see, and I think after the World Cup, I think he'll have a good World Cup. I think Brazil will win it, and he'll be key to them. Yeah, I think he'll come back a different animal in front of goal, and we'll.
I hope so.
We'll kick on. We're moving on to the next point. I know you go to most games, and this is a bit of a personal question to you because I've only been to a handful myself this season. Your favourite match? What's your game of the season so far?
Oh, that's difficult. That is really difficult. It's difficult. I think I'm going to say Spurs because it's the one that you always want to win, and the atmosphere. I mean, the atmosphere this season has just been it's just been electric. Like every game that you go to, it's whether it's Europa League, or whether it's Premier League, it's unbelievable. But I think Spurs, it has to be them, because I think we gave them their first loss of the season as well, I believe. So yeah, I'm gonna say for what I've been to, the Spurs one.
Yeah. I didn't go to the Spurs myself. The games I've been to, I think the Fulham one was really good because we scored last minute to win it, which is always brilliant for a fan. But actually, the favourite game I've been to was Villa. The atmosphere that night, it was a Wednesday night, I believe. The atmosphere was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Went up there with my dad, and we had a great time. Scored just after they did. Martinez got lots of stick all night. Mings gets stick wherever he goes, and obviously got stick at our place. And it was like a game with a lot of needles. I think he was there as well, wasn't you, for Villa?
Yeah.
There was a lot of needle. There was a lot of spikiness, lots of fouls, and it just added to the atmosphere. And scoring the second just after they equalised as well was a sweet feeling. And the team played really well that day. And that was a real turning point in my mind, that actually the Emirates has become a bit of a fortress in terms of its atmosphere and how we perform there. And obviously, I know we lost to Brighton in the Cup, but we've won every game there for months. And I don't really count Carabao Cup as part of records, because they're not a fair barometer with changes and things like that. So for me, Villa, but the match of the season was the Liverpool game.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that was a proper. Liverpool played very, very well at us that day, and not enough said about it. Everyone's Liverpool struggling this season, and then they are, but they were very good. Their best
performance.
Yeah,
in the run that they'd had, that was their best performance. But I think I have to go with Spurs, because obviously it's a game. But that Liverpool game, I was there as well, and it was just. It was goosebumps. I was there with my brother-in-law, who's actually a Liverpool fan. And when Martinelli scored that goal, it was just, honestly, you couldn't imagine. I literally I get goosebumps all the time with this team, because, it's that passion. But it was unbelievable. But every single game this season, because of the atmosphere, it's just been unbelievable. But to beat Liverpool, it doesn't matter what's happening with Liverpool. They're still a top team, and they still... they've got the players to hurt you, and they had a good go. They really did have a good go, and for us to beat them for the first time in, I don't even know how long it is.
It's about 10 attempts, isn't it?
It's something ridiculous like that. We haven't beaten them for years. Like
since COVID, since they won the title, beat them 2-1, didn't we? Nelson scored behind closed doors. Yeah,
haven't. But with actual fans, it's been years. Obviously got a draw at Anfield when Xhaka got sent off typically, but it's always special to beat those teams, and in the last however many years they are above us in terms of what they've won and where they are as a team. But it's really difficult to pick just one, because we've had so many good performances.
We have, it is hard to narrow it down, but I think Spurs is a top choice, to be fair, and it's always good to be there when you beat them. And we played very well on the day as well. So I can't argue that too much, mate, to be fair. And I'm hoping you can help me out on this next bit, because I've only seen the headlines and don't know too much about it. But I just wanted to touch on Edu's new contract and promotion, and what you think it means going forward. And if you can just give us a brief description for anyone like myself that wouldn't know what his new role is, what it might be, and what we can expect from him going forward. And this topic will kind of tie us into what we expect in January as well.
Yeah. So for me, seeing the news today, it just kind of reassures the fans that what we've got in terms of the board, Edu, Arteta, the team, the owners, that this isn't just going to be a 5-minute thing. This is the project that they keep talking about. This is the process that we're going on. And I think I've seen a lot of news. I'm not sure if you have, but I've seen a lot of news that other teams have been interested in Edu, other teams are interested in Arteta. So for me, what giving them this new role is them saying, okay, we see that other people are noticing what you're doing. It's basically praise to him for what he's done and the relationship that he's got with Arteta. That actually the club want to keep him. They want to keep him because he's vital to our future. He's vital to getting, like you say, in January, getting those targets that we want. And he's obviously very good at what he does, because if you look at the players that he's brought in along with, Arteta as well, he is getting the job done. Okay, we missed out on Vlahovic, but actually that wasn't a bad thing. Seeing where
hindsight, no.
Obviously we got Gabby, but like sporting director, for just reading what they said, he's going to have more control over things like transfers, wages, stuff like that. He's going to be the person dealing with it all. He's going to have more. I don't know what the word is, but he's going to have more
responsibility, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to have more responsibility, and he's now a key figure. He's no longer just the technical director; he's the sporting director. He's the one that's going to be calling the shots.
He's in charge of the club, basically, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
One down from Josh.
So obviously, the owners of everybody behind the scenes respects him enough for that, and it keeps him with us, because there were and are other clubs, fishing around for him, and the same with Arteta. And it's no surprise, because obviously the job that they're doing, but I think it's him committing his future to us, and us committing, the club committing to him, and the same with Arteta as well, giving him that contract. When things weren't going too well, I think it was a smart move actually by the club. So that's kind of my view on that news today.
The club have played a couple of blinders, haven't they, in the last 6 months, with Edu's contract today and Arteta's. I think it was it just after we got beat by Southampton last year? I think it was when he had that little blip after international break. They announced he had an extension. Didn't they?
It was around that time.
It was questioned, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah.
So
I think it was why now.
Yeah, I think they played a blinder. They've basically come out and said, "Look, this is our team. This is our duo. We're sticking with it. Either get behind it or sod off." Basically, and the leadership has been strong from the top. And I'll give credit to the Cronkies with this. Since they took the club in full ownership, it's arguably off the field been faultless.
Yeah.
But on the field, obviously progress was needed, and we've seen that. And there's no magic wand to turn us into a championship side overnight, and we've had to go through a couple of dismal seasons to get there. But you can't fault what they've done. But the acid test for them is January, which is the next topic. What are you expecting from January? Because I know we spoke earlier, didn't we, about Mudryk, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And potentially the price being out of our reach in January.
Yeah. So he's out there doing interviews with Zinchenko's wife. She knew exactly what she was doing. It was smart from her as well. But he's been full of praise for us. He said that if he's going to play for Arsenal, not necessarily as a starter, but as long as he's going to get an opportunity, if Real Madrid, obviously huge club, if they were to come knocking at the same time, he'd choose Arsenal based on that. But I can't remember who the guy is, but somebody at Shakhtar, I think he's basically like the equivalent of Edu at that club. He's basically come out and said that it's not him putting the prices on it; it's the market, and that if Jack Grealish is worth 100 million, then so is Mudryk, based on that he's in his position. He is basically better, a top player, so that they're trying to get as much as they can for him. But he has come out and said that if he doesn't get his move in January, he is going to be disappointed. So I'm reading a lot of rumours. I'm not sure, how much truth is in it, but we're prepared to pay 60 million for him. We did put a bid of 30 in the summer, and it wasn't accepted. I think they wanted 35, and obviously that's now doubled. but
And he has been
he's a
phenomenal from
player.
what I've seen.
He has. I mean, he's young. He fits what we want to do. He fits that that style of play. He's very dangerous. He will he'll score goals. You give him chances, he'll score goals. And he can only get better and he can only improve. But I think Shakhtar are saying about 80 million, which I can't see, especially in January. I can't see us doing. But he might be pivotal into pushing for that move if he digging his heels in a little bit if he really wants it.
Yeah.
And then kind of forcing Shakhtar's hand, because if he plays crap for the rest of the season, he'll be back down to 30. So I think we're going to have to rely on the player a little bit and Arsenal to be a bit aggressive in going for him. But I'd love to see him. I think he's definitely a player that takes to the next level. And it's another top quality option, potentially off the bench, changing the game. So yeah.
I know we spoke about this earlier in the season, and we had a quiet end to the window, didn't we? Focused on outgoings, etc. You've already touched on the bid that fell short for him. Do you think that's just another lesson learned for the board, that they've missed out on a top target for not just pushing the boat out a little bit more? I mean, we offered 25 million for Douglas Luiz on deadline day, and it was turned down, and they rightly backed out of it. Partey obviously was only going to miss another 1 or 2 games, and then he was fit sooner than expected. Playing in the Europa League, you can rotate a little bit more. We just had to keep the team fit for the Premier League, and we've done that. And they've gambled, and they've won.
Yeah,
they're now going to have to buy somebody 6 months later for double what they offered, and I think they could have got him if they'd pushed the boat out a little bit more. Is this lesson learned for the board? Do you think they're going to learn? Do you think they'll go and get him for 60, 65 million in January, knowing that it could be demanding 100 million in the summer if they wait?
It's a bit of a difficult one, and I look at it because obviously last season we didn't strengthen, and I think that cost us Champions League. Yeah. But if we miss out on Champions League, but we're in the position that we're in now, then that's a price you pay. We're in a ridiculous position, and I think obviously in the summer they decided not to get any more players, but the squad's done what it needs to do. But I think if you're looking at what's happening with other teams now, they are losing players, and with the World Cup and the fixture pile up, that is going to impact fitness. We are going to get injuries. Every team's going to get injuries. So I think they have to be very aggressive in January. They're going to have to pay whatever they're going to have to pay. They keep releasing, ranges and lines of merch, and everybody's, well, I'm buying it all. Everybody's, getting it all. The club has got money, and obviously they saved the money from the summer that they had. So just pay the extra. If we don't get Douglas Luiz, that was 25 million. Just chuck that on top of what you were gonna do in the summer. We're gonna cash in on a load of players that are out on loan. So get the business done in January, and then just add what you need to in the summer, because we're in a perfect position. We can't let it slip now. We just have to pay what we have to pay. He's the top player. If we can get him for 60, 65, I don't think, obviously in comparison to the 30, but I mean, if we'd have got him at 30 and then Douglas Luiz at 25, it'd have been 55 anyway. So, if we're not really missing out, then I think we should just pay it.
I think they need to get it done. Like you say, you've already touched on last season. No January activity really cost us, and you need to invest while you're ahead. And like you say, we could still be 5 points clear going into January. Get the deals done early, cruise through the month. We got a hard January actually as well on paper.
Yeah,
I think we've got Newcastle, Spurs, Man United, and I think maybe Man City might be in there if I'm correct. So I'm glad we're at the cup. I don't like saying those words, but the extra 2 Carabao fixtures in January could be a real nuisance for anyone that gets as far as that. I think United, City, or either one is City or Liverpool are going to go out, but one of them, you think City at home to Liverpool, they've probably got more chance of winning that game. It's an extra couple of games in January for them. It's a nuisance. So we really need to take advantage of January this year, and I want to see the club. I think that will finally convince a lot of people that are sitting on the fence or down at the conkies that if we have a good January window and really push on, that actually, they are the people to take the club forward. But the ball's in their court. We all know what we think as fans of them over the years. The ball is firmly in their court. And I do believe that Josh wants it to be a booming success. It's his club, isn't it? I know Stan's name's on the ownership papers, but it's Josh's club. It's like a gift from Daddy, isn't it? And like I say, we are cash rich. They're filthy rich themselves. I see some ridiculous stat actually that we've got the 9th highest wage bill, which means there's obviously money been saved majorly over the last 18 months.
Yeah.
There's money there to improve and obviously money to distribute if we want to sign players. So there's no excuses really. It's just stumping up the money for the players that we've seen as wanting. I'm sure you probably follow Fabrizio Romano. He seems very adamant that Mudrik's our target. And he's not normally wrong. So there's legs in the story, isn't there? There's no smoke without fire. He's doing his interviews. I think something could happen, but I don't see us breaking 100 million from in January. No. I think I think 60 is a doable deal. And then I would have said go and sign a centre midfielder, but I think unless one of them leaves, I don't think they're going to address that until the summer. And I'd like to see us target Bellingham if we win the league.
Well, I've literally just been reading an article just before obviously coming on the pod, and they're saying that I mean, again, it's just rumours. It's nothing concrete. It's not from anybody official, but they're saying that he'd be ready to snub Liverpool for Arsenal if Liverpool miss out on the Champions League. And I think when you look at us now, he's not interested in money. He said that himself. He'd rather play for a team that's going to win things and something to improve him. He's all about self-improvement, developing as a player, being the best that he can be. And it's that top mentality that he's got, which is why he's so young. And he's played at, a top club already and, won thing. Obviously, he's in the England squad as well. So, I mean, to be linked with players like that, we'd have been laughed at if we'd have spoke about this before the season started. But to be linked with players of that that quality, it shows kind of where we're going, and we've got the money. As long as we don't start penny pinching, if we're aggressive, if we go in and say this, we'll match this, we'll pay that. There is players out there that we can kind of take advantage for, and actually we used to be that club, didn't we, that people would take advantage of, and we're kind of in that driving seat now. So it's exciting. If we wait till the summer and get Bellingham, then it's a no-brainer, is it? But obviously it's a long season. Do you want to gamble on not getting a centre mid?
We've put ourselves in a position for the summer window, I believe, where we're only going to need to add 2 or 3 rather than the 5 or 6 is needed in recent years to build the squad. The squad's there now. Anyone that we sign needs to improve the first 11 for me. And if they want to focus their budget on 2 marquee signings every summer, and whoever's in the first 11 that comes out becomes your squad player, that's how you become a top side. That's what Liverpool and City have done over the last. But there's only years that's what Chelsea do, not so much recently, but that's what they have been doing. United are trying to do that now. Spurs, I believe, actually are in that position now where they have a squad, albeit, it's not that entertaining or whatever. They have a squad, and if they sign players to improve their 11, then they're in that similar boat as well. So we have to do that. I've got 2 quick questions for you, which just require 1-word answers. Ronaldo, yes or no?
No.
Okay. I'm actually a yes after watching his interview. What position were you going to finish this season? I want to hear some chest, Dad. Puff your chest out. Say what you mean.
If we get Mudryk first, we're in the driving seat. Why not?
I've got to say first, because I was on a podcast earlier in the season with you, and I predicted us to win the league, so I can't change. And and I had money on us to win the league, which I'd put on pre-season as well. So I'll stick with first. I think we'll just keep going. We'll just get better and better. But it is dependent on signing players. But I think we will.
Yeah.
Just one more topic before we go, mate. I know we wanted to keep this one short and sweet. I know you do a fantastic job with your social media and all your platforms. Instagram especially has really kicked off for you, hasn't it, recently? If you want to just take a couple of minutes to have a few words on it. I know it's something you wanted to touch on.
Yeah. So obviously the account started accidentally as such. Just put one, basically I didn't want to spam family and friends with my videos and all my Arsenal stuff, because as we know, Arsenal is like everything. And it just took off. I mean, I remember getting to 50 and I was talking to one of the people on there that runs a fans account, and earlier today saying that when I got to 50, I thought, right, it's gonna plateau now. Couldn't even believe that I got to 50, but on Instagram we're now at 80. Obviously YouTube's gone up quite a lot. I think I had like 15 or 16 when we did our first pod, and that's now it's over 600. So anybody listening, anybody that likes, anybody that interacts, obviously it's how we met as well, me and you. So it's just incredible. I just can't believe we've reached 80. And I say we because you'll know this as well, Paul, that everything that we do, it's us. This pod is, it's us, and Ben will come on and Dylan will come on, and it's never just me doing it. It's to get where we're at, it requires other people, and it's incredible. Really excited to see where we're going to get to, where we can take all this. I think you do
a fabulous job, mate. All your content is top notch. I know firsthand that you put a lot of effort into your graphics and your match day videos and everything like that. So you're reaping the benefits from that. I know you've got a couple of high profile followers as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
If you want to reveal who they are.
I think the highest one is obviously Martinelli. I was on the train back. I can't even remember what game it was now. I was on the train on the way back, and it come up on my feed notifications that Martinelli had followed me, and I literally kicked my wife opposite on the train and kicked her. I was like, Lauren. She's like, her eyes just lit up. Like, is it actually him? Obviously couldn't believe it. But yeah, got a few footballers. Gary Kemp as well. He's loving all the content for the Zinchenko song. Obviously, that's his band. He's absolutely loving that. He comments bits and bobs, but it's unbelievable, and I never expected any of this, and I'm just grateful that people are enjoying the stuff that's going on there.
Am I right in saying that Saka follows you?
No, but he regularly watches my stories when I obviously tag him in it, and the same with Shaka, but they're not hitting the follow button. So I'm gonna have to keep trying. We're gonna all have to get behind this one to make it happen.
We'll get them there by the end of the season.
Okay, challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. That's the target. Saka and Xhaka.
Yeah,
both to follow you by the end of the season.
All of them. We'll have them all.
Well, send Martinelli a message. You've got him. You've obviously got close ties with him now. Get him to sort it out.
Yeah. No, I think I'll explore that one. But yeah, it's crazy.
How did you feel when his name flashed up? Because I can imagine. I know you as a person, as an avid Arsenal fan. You're Arsenal mad. I never thought anyone could be more Arsenal than I am, but you do trump that. You must have been buzzing, absolutely buzzing. I can see the smile now from ear to ear.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I did was double check. I mean, I was obviously it was a late game. I remember it was a late game. I think it might have been a midweek game, and I was absolutely shattered on the way back. And I had a bit of a nap, and I think it was like 20 odd minutes later. I've got the screenshot somewhere, but I just couldn't believe it. Like, I had to double check, because obviously some of the fan accounts I'll put the same kind of thing, but it was verified. I kept scrolling down to double check. I just couldn't believe it. It's just none of it makes any sense, and I keep saying that none of it makes any sense. That people enjoy what I do, and I get people message and say you've only got 300 posts. Like, how have you got so many followers? And I just say the same thing to them. It's not about the followers. It's not about that. That will come with your passion. If you're passionate about something, if you've got an interest in something, and it's important to you, then naturally you will share things. I mean, obviously the videos are the videos, and I do get comments. You're always going to get comments, and they'll say, "Put your phone away, put your phone away." But it's not me that's recording it. Anybody that speaks to me knows that it's my wife. But I'll get fans from America, Australia, literally all across the world saying, I've moved here and I can't watch the games anymore. Thank you for doing this. And it's like,
Yeah,
it
nice,
means a
mate.
lot. It means a lot. So it's not just about people like Gabby following or, Saka watching my story or anything like that. If somebody reaches out and asks for advice, it's special to me. That's the only way that I can explain it. But it meant a lot. Obviously, Gabby following, I was over the moon. But to just be doing like even just this now, I never would have thought anything would come of it. But I'm grateful, really.
Yeah, and like I said, mate, you're doing an amazing job of it. So
Really
fair play to
appreciate
you.
it.
Fair play to you. And I think that probably brings us to an end.
Yeah.
I know we wanted to keep it short and sweet tonight, and we're going to be back one day next week, I believe, to
Monday. Yeah.
Monday, yep. So that'll be good. I'll be looking forward to that. I want to thank everyone for taking the opportunity to listen. If you're on YouTube, please give us a like. Help us build it up a little bit. And we will be back next week. Ad, pleasure as always.
Thank you. Thanks for doing a great job hosting as well. Brilliant.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a long time. Been looking forward to this all week, to be fair. So, yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that.
Obviously, in between COVID.
Yes. Well, I assume you're all fully recovered now.
Little bit of